What is up, my villains and heroes, my players and my professionals? This is the Violence Enthusiast coming at you with another video today. And once again, a video that I shouldn't have to be talking about. Man, I've heard some crazy things in my life, in the martial arts world, in the self-defense world. Good God. Today I'm talking about technique and why it's necessary. Because I've had some people who, there's basically two main groups here about the technique thing that have a big ass problem. The first would be the technical crowd and this is the main group, it's these people in the reality-based self-defense world that don't have a sense of reality, and they claim that technique isn't really useful. There are people out there who just shun technique, and they shun it in favor of aggressiveness, aggression, dominance, and strength. And they believe that those things are what will win you a fight over technique. And their premise is basically something like, well, the criminal who you're going to be going up against, he can throw you to the ground and stomp your head in or punch you to death, and he won't have to use any technique. So clearly technique isn't of that much value. So that's one group, and I'm going to lay into them a little bit. But then the other group, which isn't as bad, they're more misguided than flat out wrong. That would be the group who believes in technique, but they don't understand what technique actually is. The way I'll say it is they don't believe in technique, they believe in techniques with an S. They believe in practicing techniques to perfect them and utilize them, but they don't understand what technique is in a technique. See, a technique is a compilation of different forms of what comprises technique. A technique is made up of structure, it's made up of balance, posture, proper body mechanics. It's made of proper weight transfer. These sorts of things are what you will find when you're doing proper technique. But they don't understand that. But before I get in too deep into that, because I'll make this video way too long, we're going to go into the first group, the reality self-defense nuts, who just think it's all about aggression. So to put it simply, the reason that technique was created at the dawn of history, our caveman ancestors, it was all about aggression and strength back then. Whoever was strongest and most aggressive would always win, until someone realized, this isn't going to work out in my favor, because someone will always be bigger and stronger than me. And they realized that millennia ago, even though people today still can't wrap their heads around that. So what did they do? They found ways to maximize all their physical potential, how to use all their weight, all their speed, all their strength, all their body structure and mechanics, utilize physics even before they had a concept of it, to get the most out of every physical action they did to defeat an opponent. That was how technique was born. So, and it was used, of course, to beat someone who's bigger, stronger, and faster than you by maximizing your strength, speed, and size. That never changed. We didn't evolve past that need. So to think that you don't need technique because you're going to be bigger and stronger, someone will always be bigger or stronger than you. Or if they're not strong, they'll be bigger and way faster. Or if they're not bigger, they'll be way stronger and way faster, and they'll have low center of gravity and they'll throw it to the ground or something. So no, you need technique. Now that's out of the way, let's go after the people who are just a little misguided as to what technique is in comparison to a technique. There are people out there who think they're great technicians. They think they train their techniques all the time and they have them down. They can use them at a moment's notice. They can use them to great effect. And they think that's what makes them technical, but it's not. See, you can practice a technique for 1,000 reps and you'll be able to deploy it in any situation you want because you are experienced with using it. and it may work for you because you know how to use it so well. But that doesn't mean that you have good technique in that technique. See, the gaps in technique, people try to fill them in with size, fill them in with strength and all these other things, but you can't substitute it. It's not a good substitution. For example, a lot of people who come from the boxing and kickboxing world, they throw punches, straight punches, and they try to turn over their fist, but they practice with gloves on because they're trying to do boxing and kickboxing. Those are their sports. So, since a boxing glove is unevenly weighted, all the padding is here on the first two knuckles and the thumb, it creates a looping effect when you throw a punch. It loops out like this. And so if you train with these on, it'll work for a sport because you're fighting with those gloves, but in a realistic situation, it won't work because you're going to basically be clawing at the person like a cat. If you ever seen people do some of that, it looks more like a parry. People jab the same way they parry a punch. It's ridiculous. But because they train it so much, they're good at it, so they can use it and it'll work. But if they were to snap it out properly and turn over with a proper rotation, instead of like revolution, it would be that much more effective. Not to mention other things like if you punch with your shoulder locked into place, your elbow down, it's way more effective than letting it rotate out here, have your shoulders snap up, because it takes away all your power. See, they don't understand these little technical details. Technical details like not hunching over. You have to have good posture. If your neck is down and you're trying to do this isn't good posture, your punches aren't going to be as strong. Another thing, a lot of these people, especially in MMA, they'll abandon stance and they think stance is stupid because it's too static. You can't just stand like this in a fight. You can't fight like this. You can't fight like this. But stances are integral to technique. It's a huge part of it. Because what a stance is for, it's not to fight like this or like this. It's to move into at a certain point to achieve an objective. For example, the front stance, this motion, is to power a punch, especially a reverse punch, with as much force as you can. And if you do it wrong, you won't impart that force. See, this movement is a pushing movement. It's not just to stand like this. If you have ever pushed anything heavy or helped someone move, you'll recognize front stance as this. You dig in and you press. So if you can drop from a walking stance into that and press, that's where the power from that stance comes from. If you've ever played tug of war, what's back stance? You dig in that foot and you kind of turn with it. See? You're getting all you can out of that motion. They don't understand things like that. They don't understand posture. If you try to push something when you're hunched over, if you're not straight up, like in front stance, if you try to hunch over, you're going to collapse on yourself. If you bend your back like this and try to push, you're going to send yourself careening backwards. See, so they have all these sloppy movements. They're not in the right places. They don't understand these things because they don't understand what technique is. To make a technique work, the things you need are proper posture, you need proper stance, you need proper balance, you need to have your center of gravity in the right place. For example, you can have a good stance, posture, but if your hips are too far forward, too far back, your balance is off. All these different things, these little details, all come together to make small multiplications of all your weight, speed, and power. And it's like a snowball rolling downhill, but it gets bigger and bigger, and once it hits something, blows it away. Now, not having proper technique is like it's like having less snow. And sometimes bad technique, it's like having mud. It'll mess up the snowball, it'll make it lopsided, it won't go straight where you want it, won't hit with as much power, it'll be soft and mushy. Which, that sounds far-fetched, but if you've ever seen someone throw a sloppy jab with their elbow out here and it lands with their blade of their hand, you'll see what I mean. It'll collapse in on itself. But I'm kind of getting into a place where I'm ranting here, so I'm basically going to cut this short in just a second. I'm going to wrap it up. You need technique because someone will be bigger, stronger, and faster than you. And when that day comes, you need every possible advantage you can get to overcome them. And then, when you're training, you have to understand what proper technique is in order to achieve the goal of maximizing yourself. Just because you are training a technique consistently doesn't mean that you're automatically going to get proper technique in that technique you're training. You have to analyze it and think about it, figure out what is supposed to do what, figure out where you're failing at, and figure out why is this technique hard for me sometimes? Why is it hard to do when I'm tired? Why is it hard to do if I'm not properly stretched out? You know? Why is it hard to do if I'm not warmed up? Why do I have to think about it so much when I do it? It's because you're not doing certain things right. You have to analyze every part of your technique to see if all the techniques are in alignment to give you all the power you can get out. But that's going to be the end of this video. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, you know. Comment, tell me what you think about what I'm saying, whether you like it or not. Give me your argument. Subscribe for more videos if you're enjoying what I'm saying, or if you hate me, subscribe anyway so you can defeat everything I'm saying. Because I love to learn. You know, you don't even really have to be nice. Just tell me the truth. I enjoy that. So subscribe whether you like me or not. I'm going to have a Facebook page soon. Eventually it's going to be down in the description. So be looking out for that. Thanks for watching, and I guess this is The Violence Enthusiast signing off. See ya.